Yes, sir.
Episode 4. We did it. We made it, and we've got a special guest today. Actually, we've got special news on two fronts. First off, welcome Costa to the podcast.
Great to be here. Thank you, Matthew.
You're the first Greek boy to come here. All right,
sure.
A lot of Greeks in town.
We're all Greek, aren't we?
Yeah. And we got Dale on camera. Go switch yourself, Dale. There he is. He's real.
Hey, nice to see you,
Right.
Dale.
It was actually, we were just talking about what he looked like. Yeah. Now we know. Everyone knows
mystery
now.
solved.
That is. Yeah. He's the man, the mystery, the myth, all those things. Dale, say something. Introduce yourself. Talk to the world. and that's why he does the producing.
That is why I do the producing. We've all got our niche specialties.
Well, this is going to be an interesting one. I really actually excited about you coming on because you have some really interesting views. You've done some interesting things. And really, you're our first local celebrity. I'm just going to label you that.
Wow, you're calling me a celebrity.
Well, local celebrity. I mean, you were in a big band.
I
Right?
was.
Yeah.
I was.
You were in a big band. Like, it was the thing in Townsville. Like, when I first got to town 10 years ago and you guys played, I mean, whenever you did play, you guys just packed out the theatre. It was awesome, huh?
Yeah, it was good fun.
It was good fun.
There were good times, and I'm always finding myself reminiscing.
Yeah. And you were the drummer.
I was the drummer.
Yeah.
Still drum.
Yeah, well,
Still drum.
naturally, but you play all different types of instruments now.
I do. One of my favourites, in fact, is the handpan and the flute.
The handpan.
So, I don't, no,
Can you play like Ron Burgundy?
No, I can't. Not the handpan flute, but the handpan. You've seen the handpan before, the UFO instrument.
No,
Sick.
Is that the one you showed me? The one that you got? That big flute thing?
It's like, no, that's definitely not the one.
Okay.
No.
What is it?
This thing's like a UFO spaceship.
Okay.
And it was made in Switzerland. Made in Switzerland, inspired by the Caribbean steel pan.
Okay.
Steel pan. And this was like created back in the year 2000.
Yeah.
2000. Let's say the inception happened a little bit earlier. But I think it stemmed from these a couple, Sabine and Felix in Switzerland, and from their friends who wanted some percussion instruments, a different kind of percussion instrument.
Okay.
You can go on YouTube and you can find these.
I'm actually really curious about what this looks like. I'm just going to get my phone to see. What do I type?
I think you've seen me, but just type in handpan.
I'm actually while I'm typing this, right? Obviously, listen to a podcast there. Hi, Nathan. As I'm typing this, I'll cut something in the screen. In the clip. Handpan, did you say?
Yeah, handpan.
Because as you're saying this, I can't picture it.
And
okay.
There's lots of very popular ones. I think
Would that be
Daniel Waples, David Charrier. Yeah, that's the one. So,
okay.
I really
Put it to the camera.
Put it to the camera.
Yeah, turn around.
I'm just going to cut it in the edit. Don't worry about it.
So 2011, 2012, my friend Ilona introduced me to that instrument, told me about it. I'm like, wow, have you seen these? I was like, nah, blew my mind. I was online for about 5 hours up until 2 a.m. Researching where do I get one of these. Found out they were around $3,000, $3,500. I didn't have that money back then. So you had to actually put in a lottery. So you had to send a letter and stating why you wanted one of these. And then you could make an offer on the price. Okay?
No way, really?
So
when was this?
I would say 2011 or 12.
Okay.
Around there. So I'm up all night and I realize, wow, the cutoff is like in a couple of days or that night. So I filled in the form and I offered $1,500. Honestly, that's all I could afford at that time. And I was one of about, 30,000 people who had nominated themselves to receive one. And I think they were only making 200.
Oh, wow.
Within the space of the year. Because there weren't many makers at this time. Now there's well over 100 makers around the world.
Are these guys still making them?
Not too sure. I think they've moved
By the
on
sounds
to
of it, they would have cleaned
style.
up too.
Yeah, well, at the
200 times 15.
That wouldn't, yeah, but I think well early in the beginning, I think they were a little cheaper. And
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But you hear stories of musicians over in Europe receiving them for $200-300.
Yeah, okay.
That could be European though. Not too sure if that's Australian. But yeah, lots of conflict at the moment within the handpan world about lawsuits because they didn't want them to get this far.
Really?
I think,
Does someone have like a copyright on this? Like,
well,
when was this instrument created?
I think that's what it could be about.
Okay.
I think that's what it could be about. However, thank God that so many others discovered how to make this instrument.
What kind of sound does it make? Is it
I wish I brought one now.
Yeah, I'm so curious now as to.
You'll have to wait till you. Well, you can listen to it now. Like
May as well.
Put it on.
We don't. Is that okay, Dale? You know, in terms of we listen to things. Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Bing bong, bing bong, bing.
You've heard it, Dale, haven't you?
It's bad.
Handpan music.
It's the most wild thing, and you can go super fast, and
it's beautiful. Like, it's good for relaxing.
Yeah.
It's good for just blissing out. I use it for a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just to chill out, tune out.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to find out. Some dude in a river.
Yeah. Oh, really? Really? Has he got a beard? Is his name Ethereal?
Yatao.
Okay.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
He's just.
And
Wow.
And now
That's that. Okay, so that's pretty peaceful, pretty
sound like a
tranquil.
ringtone.
it's yeah. And now you can get digitalized versions of this.
Okay.
They call it a neotone. All digital. They're about $3,000 now. And the beauty of this is that you can change the key. You can change the key. So do you know what key is?
I want to say yes.
So
it's like the tone, or
think of it like a family of notes.
Okay, so just to preface this real quick, you do have your own music school.
Oh yeah,
you know,
man, I always lean to talking
KingKonz
about music
School.
don't I?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons I want to get you on. You know, in terms of when you played in the band and what you do with music. I mean, you're so passionate about it. So before you tell me about the ins and outs of the handband, we'll get back to that. Can you tell me like why you're so passionate about music? When did it start?
Good question. As early as I can remember, I think my first passion was with guitar. And
That's cool.
I can remember listening to a lot of John Farnham and Elvis because that's what my mother was listening to. So I was indoctrinated into that music and, you know, grateful because they're both amazing artists. And guitar was my first passion probably at the age of 5, 6. And then many little things happened between there. The guitar, I kind of not lost interest, but I've forgotten about it for reasons of my mum took the guitar back to the music shop after one lesson. And I remember that very first lesson, right, in Brisbane. The smell of this place. Have you ever seen Terminator 2?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Okay. Yeah. You've seen
I don't live
Terminator
under a rock.
Well, I remember you asked me if I'd seen Lord of the Rings the other day. And you're like, answer why. Be cautious in your answer.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you remember that scene where he pulls the shotgun out of the flower box and he's boom.
Yeah.
It was like that in this place. Now at 5 and at the age of 6, that movie wasn't out yet. But I remember like, whoa, that was my music shop, my music places for lessons. So anyways, we're going in there. It was just a white corridor with doors. And I had my first lesson and that smell. I realized what that smell was later in my 20s. It wasn't weed. It was fingeries, the stuff you spray on your strings so you can slide and it preserves your strings.
Okay.
Yeah, so I realized that
was.
I always wondered like.
And you know what's cool about that? How powerful smell is to trigger memories.
Totally.
So
totally.
you're like, and you get like transported straight away.
Straight back there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I remember that lesson very, very Vividly, is that right?
Vividly, yeah.
It's clear?
Cool. It is, yeah.
Other things happened. I remember I got to play guitar in grade 2 with my teacher, Mr. Brian. And
shout out, Mr. Brian.
Shout out to Mr. Brian if you're listening. He was reading a story to all the kids, and then he pulls out the guitar. And while the kids are all listening to Mr. Brian's story, I was still writing what was on the blackboard because I was a bit of a slow coach. So I'm doing the homework. He calls me over because he knew I had an interest in guitar. And I start strumming while he plays the chords. And we played I Still Call Australia Home. And I didn't make it to the end. I reckon I stopped short of about 8 bars. But like those memories are very strong and powerful, still within me. And when I think about them, it gives me a strong emotion, makes me emotional.
Yeah, wow.
From there, we relocated to North Queensland. And remember playing Tiggy at school with my friends. Yeah. And I hear music. I hear Smells Like Teen Spirit and Smoke on the Water. And I'm like, where is this sound coming from? A couple of friends in an older grade were playing music. I'm like, I didn't even know we had instruments at our school. So I'm banging on the door. I'm like, let me in, let me in.
So how old are you here?
Not knowing who was in there. 14.
14, okay.
14. And I'm banging on this door. And I'll never forget, you open the louvers and I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, it's me, Con. And he let me in, but he didn't let my friends in. So I like, see yous, check yous. Went in and I watched them play. And he was playing Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I said, can I have a go? Can I have a turn? And as soon as I sat on that drum stool, I knew I was going to be a drummer.
Really?
I knew.
That was the moment.
It was it was just like, whoa, I'm going to be a drummer. Yeah. It was quite, whatever you call that, an epiphany. It was a profound moment in life. Tavis, King E, shout out to you, brother. Thank you, man. He held my arms while I played and I kicked. Just very slowly. And then, I got into it. And
I wish we had a drum set now. I love that song.
I'd belt it out. And you know what? I wasn't a Metallica fan. I know it's Nirvana. Well, I wasn't a Nirvana fan. I did like that song. That one spoke to me. I think it spoke to everyone. Well, I think that song in itself speaks to a lot of people, even if you're not a fan of the band.
Yeah, what is with the whole stigma with him? Like he was what's his name again? Kurt Cobain, right?
Cobain, yeah.
And like the whole grunge era, it was very like he was speaking to a generation almost. He was such a cult-like figure.
Yeah.
What was so amazing about the grunge sound? Like what?
I think
it had never been done before.
That. But there was. I think when you think of these type of things, like what created that sound, it was all happening, I think, in the place of Seattle around there. And it wasn't just them. There were numerous bands. And when for me, I think of that as energy, energetically from the universe. Okay. Yeah. And I think our ideas musically come from the universe. Just getting into this spiritual side of it now. Yeah. And when you have ideas, it's not really like yours. It's coming from something bigger. Yeah. And we are like an antenna.
Yeah, okay.
We're like an antenna. And if you're tuned in to the right frequency, then you're going to dial in and get that. It's up to you what you do with it. You either keep it, create with it, produce, or you let it go. Just like we have positive thoughts and we have negative thoughts. So I think around that time, obviously something energetically is going on. Our environment here on Earth and on an outer spectrum. I think that was just a beautiful moment to create grunge. It was a time of rebellion, I guess.
There is a lot about that, wasn't it? About even was Rage Against the Machine around the similar time, or they after?
I think a little after.
Okay.
Maybe 10 years.
That non-conformist. You know what's funny? Those guys became conformist. Hate the machine, and then they start promoting the machine this the last 2 years. Like, what happened to them?
Oh, I haven't delved into that.
Anyway, a little bit off topic.
I keep seeing those. You see comments.
Anti-corporate, anti-establishment, and then they become establishment.
You always see comments and opinions, and people will say that. However, I don't think you ever really, really know somebody, especially when we see them on media. We never really. It's just our perception, just like with each other. Mm-hmm. Like, I see you and I have my own perception of you.
Back at you.
That's right.
Even Dale.
Dale has his own perception. Your wife has your own her own perception of you. We all have our own perception of each other. So when we talk about celebrities, these people who are on our screens quite regularly when we look, that's creating our perception of them. I don't think we ever really know who they truly are, though. And you hear that from friends in interviews and families. Funny you mentioned the Kurt Cobain thing. I watched one maybe 3-4 months ago. And it was stories from people who actually knew him, and they were very humbling and nice. And stories that I guess you wouldn't probably expect.
Like was he an introvert?
I have no idea. I don't know. A lot of the stuff I watch like that is I watch it, and then I don't retain too much information. So I can't say whether or not he was an introvert or an extrovert.
Okay. He's an interesting character. You know what you mentioned?
Yeah, he was, man.
What you mentioned before about the music, and it's like coming from the universe. It's interesting because I've been spending a little bit of time recently about what they call the transcendental. And so it's the idea of the transcendental sort of nature of the universe. And there's certain things that we recognize as humans, that we crave, that we desire, and we like to think that it comes from us or our subjective understanding of it, but really it really transcends the universe, that it comes from another source. So that's like the idea of beauty, truth, goodness, and music itself. When you really get into the idea of, what is music? What do we define as music? And what do we, this is the things that you feel in music, right? These sort of are universally recognized by everyone. This is the idea that if we are just, these evolved human beings with our own, unique set of features and overdeveloped neocortex, there's no reason why we should all feel the universal nature of goodness and what comes from that music. The idea that we shouldn't be sharing that. There's something that is linking us in terms of the idea that this music and the beauty of music is transcendent. It's coming to us. It's hitting us in our hearts. There's no reason why we should all feel it. It's like staring at the Milky Way at night. That you get like a tear in that sky. You look at it and go, wow, that's
beautiful.
Even beauty itself, like how do we define beauty? Are we just merely recognizing it? This is this idea of transcendence. And so, I think the reason I mention it is that I'm not a huge music guy, right? But the other day I was listening to Bach, right? Is that how you say his name? Bach?
I thought you were talking about the tree, Bach.
No. The
I know.
The composer,
Bach.
right?
Yeah, it's Bach. Yeah,
it's Bach. And was he a German? I'm not sure.
Funny, man. I studied him in university among many other composers. I have no idea, no recollection.
Okay. Well, whatever the case may be, you can listen to Bach and it's just, wow, that's so beautiful. Amazing. And so as I was digging deeper, apparently these guys operated at a certain frequency of certain hertz.
Yep.
Right?
Hertz. Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is. all right? And I'm not sure if you can step in here and correct me at all, but like there's this certain hertz that they operated at that almost like promotes a sense of harmony, when you are... Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't think they've operated at a hertz level. Don't think you can operate at a hertz level.
Okay.
Hertz is more the frequency. So
Okay.
we can, like a child can hear up to, I think, 20,000 hertz.
Okay.
Which is very, very high, or 18,000 hertz. As you get older, you lose that frequency. When you tune an instrument in Western culture, we have a tuner. Excuse me. We have a guitar tuner or a tuner or tuning forks. We have them dialed in at 440 hertz currently. That means when you hit it, it vibrates 440 times per second. Okay? Before, I think it's World War II, we used to tune into 432 hertz.
That's it.
That's what it is, yeah.
But apparently there's an effect on the body almost in terms of...
Yeah, there's lots online you can...
I'm not sure if it's true or
dive
not.
in. Well,
why did they make that change?
I think what I've seen is that it's easier to disrupt us.
Oh, we're getting into the good stuff now.
Yeah.
See, I heard this
a little bit of maybe like stress, tension,
all right, I have to
uneasiness.
interrupt. This is what I was talking about before, that the old style music, so you're saying pre-World War II, right?
Yeah.
This older style of music, it did promote harmony and peace and unity and love, and so post-World War II, they made a change in the hertz.
In the hertz frequency that what we tune our instruments to.
Okay, all right. Which then, if that's the standard by which we then measure, in tune instruments, it's going to affect the music and the way it resonates in our body, in our ears.
It'll affect our bodies as well.
Here's something for you then. Okay. In terms of like gospel music and Christian music, I'm not sure what hertz it operates at. Okay, because there's a real. I never liked it. I've only started getting into it in the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And the more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. Now, here's something, all right? This is going to be a strange story, and it's on sort of par
Give me strange
with this,
stuff,
right?
Matthew. Give me strange stuff.
Okay. So, I have, this is going to sound weird, but I have waxy ears, okay?
Waxy.
All right.
Don't we all?
I think mine are a little bit more.
Overly
And so I
waxed.
always avoided using earphones like that go in the ear. I normally use like these ones. Because when I like listening to music and I love listening to like, techno, dance.
I love it. I love it all.
When I'm running, and I like it all too, but when I was running, it motivates you when you train, all that stuff, okay? Because when I wear the earpod things, I'd get ear infections,
Yeah.
All right, really irritable, right?
To do that, yeah.
And, and it's always get ear infections. And I just realized something the other day. I got the new AirPods, right? I've been using them for the last year, right? Training most mornings, running with them, sweaty, whatever. I barely clean them. I should clean them more. I haven't had a problem with my ear in ages, right?
Man, you're talking about ear. My ear. I need to crack my ear.
Am I talking too much in the mic?
No.
So here's the strange thing. The other day I was like, it's been a while since I've gone for a run and listen to some dance music. And so I started listening to some dance music. So I started running and listening. It was quite motivating, ran pretty well. And then I did it again. But then I naturally sort of want to go back to the more peaceful music. So I realized when I listen to that music, I kind of get amped up for the day, maybe not in a positive way. And anyway, got my first ear problem that I haven't had in ages.
Serious?
Yeah, I had to put some betadine in there because it was inflamed and irritated. It's better now, but I'm not sure if this is related to the frequency of the music affecting my ear physically, right?
Doubt
now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not anything,
yeah.
right? But just you mentioning that, how it disrupts things, I just thought about it the other day, and I thought I'd mention it to you.
I think it's because you haven't cleaned them in a year, man. Dale, what do you think?
It could be.
Yeah. I don't know. We're both not doctors, but yeah, let's outnumber him here.
You were talking about the idea of like these hertz change that it's like, what was it? Okay, so you're a little bit of a conspiracy theorist like me.
A little bit, yeah, a lot.
Okay, so let me ask you, why the change? What have you seen? What have you read about the idea of the change?
I can't remember too much, honestly, but I think it was more about control over the people, over the masses. Okay,
is it like it gets you in a sort of like a hypnotized state or something?
Yeah, maybe not hypnotized, or it could be hypnotized, but I think it's more just a little bit on edge. Now, when you talk 440 and 432. I've played tunes in 440, and then I've tuned my guitar to 432 hertz because you can just adjust that on your tuner. Mm-hmm. And you think, oh, wow, I can sing a little bit better in this tuning. But that's
interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just at that time. And then I can do that a few weeks later and no, I suck. So I'm not too sure. But Nikola Tesla says, if you want to understand the universe more, think in frequency. Think about frequency. Mm-hmm. And I stumbled across something the other day, and there's nothing to back it. And then I looked for fact checking, and it says,
"Oh, don't worry, Dale's our fact checker."
Yeah, well, there's a few TEDx talks, not just one. There's a few who are saying that they can cure cancer cells with frequency. They can get rid of the bad cancer cells.
There's a doctor that did this. There's a doctor, I forget his name. There's a doctor that did this. He figured out the harmonic resonance of all diseases. And he created this machine that would blow stuff up. Yeah. I forget the name. Dale, what is it?
Or who the man?
No clue.
You have no clue.
I haven't delved down that rabbit hole.
But he was saying that it's around the 80,000 to 100,000 hertz that this happens. Now, when you put 100,000 hertz on, you can put it on. You can find it on YouTube. It's nothing. You can't hear it because we can only hear, you and I, probably not even over 14,000 hertz if we're lucky.
That's like those apps where the kids can hear, you turn it up.
It's a sine tone. So when you go to the ear doctor, and we did this as a band, actually, King Social did this as a band. And how long ago was this? 8-9 years ago, when we were getting our in-ear monitors.
Why'd you have to do that?
We just wanted, the biggest reason was we were always having arguments about turn mine up in my ear. So with the in-ear monitors, it's like this, but in the ear, like your Bluetooth ones, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see this when you go to concerts now. There's hardly any speakers on stage. When you look at the old Woodstock footage and concerts from the 80s, 90s, they've got big monitors on stage. The guitarist has got a shitload of speakers behind him. The drummer's got monitors. Now, you just have them all in your ears. So it sounds like a CD. You can get it perfectly mixed. Okay? You get the singer in just a little bit. You get the bass player in just a little bit. Keys. I don't really want to hear keys too much, so put them really low in the mix. So we were having those type of issues. And the singer would say, let's crank mine up. So we're wondering, why is his always up really loud and mine's down like this much on the volume? So we went and got our hearing tested. And
Who was the deaf one?
Actually, I think Wonga was the most deaf because he had done some diving. A lot of deep diving when he was younger in Fiji, and he had lost up to something like 50% in one side of his hearing. He was the bass player, Mr. Wonga.
Yeah.
And I think second to that was definitely Gussie.
Yeah, was it?
So he was cranking it. Yeah. So it was about frequencies. Some of us had low frequencies disappeared, so we couldn't hear those low ends, and some of us had highs. Me, thankfully, which was very surprising, to the ear specialist, my hearing, he said, was still like a 14-year-old boy.
No way.
And I was 36, 37.
Yeah.
So I put that down to...
So next time Julie says that you can't ever hear her when she asks
I
the
hear
man.
everything. I hear everything. But I put it down to drumming. I used to put in earplugs, so the ones that you roll in, and then ear muffs over the top. And I'd drum to that. So it sounded like my drum kit was a studio sounding drum kit.
Okay.
But I think I preserved my hearing by doing that, because you hear a lot of stories of drummers that have lost their hearings like in their 30s, 40s. Yeah. Not completely lost, but they've lost a lot of frequency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a spin out.
So
did it affect everything in a positive way after you did the hearing tests and all that? Like in terms of your music making?
We understood each other a lot more and understood what each other's needs were. So it did.
So
it was fun too.
I think I should go do a hearing test.
You should, man. Check out your ears. Get rid of that
clean
wax.
your ears first.
Clean them first. Oh man, don't torture the doctor like this.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I got waxy ears, but anyway, it's not really a story we probably should talk about. I do. Anyway, when Tali looks at me, she's like, ooh.
Hey, they're just protecting your ears, man. I think the wax, like my dad used to, he puts his keys in there. He's done that since I can remember.
That's such a great thing.
And he still does it. Yeah, the key. Yeah, the old Toyota key. You know?
No, just like,
get it in there.
No, the idea of like Greek parents just doing weird stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my big fat Greek wedding.
What kind of weird stuff do you recall your parents doing? Is it more
like my parents were born here.
Yep.
But grandparents from Greece.
Same.
So yeah. So like Dad was, you know, he acclimatized pretty well, but like Dad was he was half Albanian, half Greek.
Yeah.
So he like back then, you know, people talk about racism in Australia now.
Yep.
But if you like listen to the stories my dad tells, as you know, how racist it was back in the 60s or 70s, right? He copped it quite a bit when he was younger, and but because he was half Albanian as well, the Greeks didn't like the Albanians. Yep. And back then, you know, the Aussies didn't like the Wogs, and so long story short, no one liked my old man. And he grew up a very, very angry sort of dude, you know, and he got bullied a lot. And, you know, he was a farm boy, and because my grandparents didn't have a lot of money, they sent him to school when he was 3, because his sister was 2 years older, and they didn't have enough money for like a babysitter or anything. Yeah. And there's no daycares back then. No. So they just sent him to school. You know, he'd shit his pants at school, and, you know, like he was only a kid, right?
And 3, yeah?
Yeah, 3. Yeah. He started high school at 10.
We were all shitting our pants at 3.
But the thing is that, you know, like he got like bullied a lot, and he couldn't do much about it because he was so small. Mm. And then, he was 10 years of age when he started high school. And then I think he got bullied even worse then. And then I think when he was 15, 16, having like a couple of years off because he was actually going through a real rough time. I think he was 14, 15. He went to Greece. So like the old sort of Greek mentality, like there was no sort of child psychology type things. Then it's like you're going through a nervous breakdown. Yeah, just go to Greece, go to the motherland. I'll sort you out. Yeah. And apparently it did help him. And then he came back, and then he got
beat up all those bullies.
He got big and started playing football.
Bro, your dad's a big man.
Yeah. He got big and started playing football, and he bashed everyone. He bashed everyone that bullied him, and I think he even did it after school. You'd find him in the pub, and he'd just look at him and let's go. So, like in terms of idiosyncrasies of my father, he's a bit of a brute, and at the same time too, he's got a heart of gold. Yeah. Right, like, and that's that strange dichotomy between them. It's always driven me nuts, because I know deep down this guy is one of the most generous, loving people. But then, he's got a bit of psychopathic tendencies. Like he can blow up and be crazy. So, like, that's just I guess he's really a product of his environment, how he's grown up. You know, so
I remember the first day I met your dad was at a kid's party. Right?
he would have looked at you like, hey, what did he say?
It's at a kid's party. And anyways, I saw he bought Maddie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hi, introduced myself, and he spilled his guts to me. And I remember the thing that stuck with me, he said, I'm half Greek, half Albanian. I'll rip your heart out in a heartbeat. Like, no joke. Like, whoa.
Most people say hello. So that's
rip your heart out.
Yeah. I mean, God threw out the mold when he was born. That's for sure. Like, there's only one of him. He's an interesting dude.
Interesting you say about I was just thinking then about bullying and all of that. What goes on?
Yeah.
And I stumbled across something yesterday about like autism.
Mm-hmm.
And how, think about right now how we have a lot of autistic children, a lot of autistic. And here in Western society, we treat it as an illness in some ways. And we find ADHD as an illness. Oh, we've got to give you medication. Where I saw in other cultures, like in Africa, they treat it as a spiritual, like this person is a god or has a special gift that they can offer us. And just differences in that. I know it's like totally like, wow, like totally different to what we were just talking about. But I find that very interesting. And I've always thought something somewhat similar as well. Those children.
You say my dad's autistic?
Well, maybe. But
I hope he doesn't watch this.
I think he will.
You know what? I
don't think he's autistic, but I think
But he might be on the spectrum though, because he's really intelligent.
This was in no relation to your father at all. Yeah. But I think
for those that know him though, they're gonna go,
But I think that's interesting in the way that Western to other cultures, societies and cultures treat that level of behavior, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, intellect.
You've hit two topics there.
Tell me.
Which are really interesting. Number one.
What's the first one? I don't even understand what topics are.
Well, number one, autism. Okay. That's a great topic to discuss. Autism, and even just the way we measure the spectrum now. The spectrum's very large, because now we're getting to the point now, right, where, autism, the way it's going, there was this MIT statistician and she came out and said by 2050 we're going to have 1 in 2 boys born with autism. Something's happening. It's actually the biggest epidemic that we're actually not addressing. When we talk about autism, obviously there's varying degrees, but we talk about the severe autistic kids out there. They are. I wouldn't go so far to call it as a gift. I know what you were talking about, which is about, sometimes you get these savants. And it is a gift, and they're on the spectrum.
There's two sides of it.
But then there's the one where, they're shouting, they're screaming, banging their heads on the walls, and their families are going through torture. Right. I couldn't imagine. So there's both sort of sides. And then the idea of medicine. So I want to talk about those two, but okay, let's, for instance, because I think they link in.
Not that we're specialists.
We're not specialists,
but we're just having a discussion.
Yeah, we're just having a discussion. And even that idea, you're not an expert on the field in this field, so therefore you can't talk about it. Well, I think the laws of logic apply universally.
Universally,
right?
And we can have a discussion. We're allowed to.
I believe the laws of logic are absolute and they're applied to everyone, and so you use them. Whether you're an expert or not in any field, you use them to make your case.
Yeah.
So as just human beings, I believe we're image bearers of God. We're entitled to actually have an opinion on anything.
Yeah.
Whether it's valid or not is up to the audience. Okay?
Yeah.
But even the idea of medicine in Western culture versus, say, like Eastern cultures and non-Western cultures, it's very much a Band-Aid type solution, right? We're not actually addressing the root cause.
Yeah,
we're not addressing the idea of what is actually causing the symptoms. We just we just treat symptoms. And I think you've told me that with all the gut issues that you've had growing up, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you would know exactly what that's up because you can't get an answer. Even my own brother's had like gut issues for 10 years, and he actually went into Chinese medicine and that really got some decent results after seeing all the gastroenterologists, all the right specialists and doctors. And so linking that idea of, I guess, a holistic approach, addressing root cause, Western medicine isn't catered for that. It's been shut away. And then if you get into like the conspiracy theories about how that occurred, like apparently back in the day, and people can verify this if it's true or not. It's just what I've heard. I'm not claiming it to be absolutely true, but it's what I've read and what I've heard. And the idea that after J.D. Rockefeller got out of Standard Oil, they went into medicine, and so they monopolized it because there was homeopathy, naturopathy, like there's all these different varieties of medicine. So when we think medicine, we think that, we've got the only, and mind you, Western medicine, amazing, the things that they can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's got its merit.
Amazing things, heart transplants, bloody, whatever you call it. It's amazing what they can do. Even Sebi, which we'll get in that story, what happened with him. So with that said,
not discrediting it. No, we're not
discrediting it. No. I'm just saying
all.
there's other forms of medicine, and then they monopolize the industry by giving funding to the universities, and they actually then phase the other forms of medicine out and discredit them as pseudoscience.
Look at ivermectin.
Well,
look where that is right now in the state of media. And how they discuss it and how they talk about it. 3 years ago, ivermectin was discredited, was a horse medicine. You can't use it to treat your COVID symptoms. And now
the TGA,
it's
which
ivermectin.
is
like we both.
Okay, the TGA which is the Australian FDA, just put it back on the list. So
how much for?
YouTube, you shouldn't ban us for this because TGA says it's okay. Ivermectin is effective treatment.
How much for? Because 3 years ago it was about $2.50, $3 or something for a tablet or for a
the guy who
packet.
created it won a Nobel Peace Prize.
He won a Nobel Prize.
And it was the most effective treatment for antiparasitic and it's amazing medication.
You could buy it over the counter at Chemist Warehouse. And then all of a sudden it was
wiped out.
Taken off.
I think the reason being is that under emergency use acts, they could only approve the vaccine if there was no other effective treatment. So look, we're not really delving into conspiracy theories. This is just money. You know what I mean?
It's
the power
money.
of pharmaceutical industry,
right? Totally money.
It opened up a lot of people's eyes. Even what they did to Joe Rogan. Man, they literally, when he first announced how he recovered so quick and used ivermectin and used different things, right? They even filtered his face to make him look more pale when, the things that CNN did to him was crazy. And even he had that doctor on the show, talking about the misinformation. See, this is what it comes down to, right? About how we measure what is true, how we measure our information, misinformation, disinformation. This idea that the government is the ministry of truth, that they're the only valid and secure source for information. When you look at history, these guys, government, there is a case study that was done out of Hawaii. Someone can bring it up, right? The largest killer of man in the 20th century was government. Well over 100 million deaths. Government did that.
Where's
there's a pattern too.
Where's the
where they
antibiotic
start
for it?
Where they start with political correctness. What's effective and non-offensive speech? They start off like that. They start off with like cancel culture type stuff. You think this is new that we're going through?
No.
Then they go through, and then you find out they vilify people that have a different opinion. They ridicule them. They phase them out, and then they go through this process of banning guns and then taking over societies, and they just start whacking people in concentration camps and killing them. Right. And, you look at where we're at as a society now and how people get so offended and how cancel culture, it's amazing how we keep repeating these mistakes, but is it unintentional?
We're on a cycle. It's like this 80-year cycle.
Did you read The Fourth Turning as well?
No, Julie was talking to me about this last night, and I was like, she was talking about some like 20-year cycle. I'm like, this has been well documented. throughout history, and you can see this spectrum goes like this, and whether or not that's by design, I kind of think it is. I think it is by design, especially in Western.
Do you reckon it's intentional, or is it something that's in our psyche or something subconscious?
Well, whether it's intentional, like when you think about where we are living right now in beautiful Australia, we have it really nice here. Like you can go outside there in comfort, knowing that you're going to get into your vehicle, and you're going to go for a drive, you're going to reach your destination, wherever that may be. If you wanted, you can stop and get some food. You can go to the shops. You can buy some new material for yourself and for your family. Like we have it, we have it pretty good in comparison to other cultures around the world. Now, when you compare, if you want to say, what's it like here in Australia into comparison of an African nation or an Indian nation or a Vietnamese or wherever you want to go, where we consider what we call, not we, but media and governments as third world. Third world. What does third world even mean? What does first world mean? Why are we a first world? Why are they a third world? What's second world? We never refer to anyone as second world country, do we? I've never heard of it before.
Maybe New Zealand.
But I love New Zealand and my Kiwi mates.
Maybe Tasmania.
Yeah, but I won't go there. But you know, why is it that we've got this referral as a third world country when you see people who visit these cultures, and I'm not saying everywhere's perfect, but they're so happy. In some villages, they're so happy. There's no disease. There's no illness. Now, I'm being very broad here, and I'm saying in some cultures. I'm not saying all.
Yeah.
But you hear it in. I think it's in the Amazon. There's a group of people there, tribe, and there was no disease, no illness until they introduced Western things, like possibly food and other things. And then cancer was found there. I think it's cancer. Don't quote me on this. But
we know that they brought measles and smallpox or whatever it is. Not measles, smallpox.
Who did?
European settlers. It was actually a weapon, like a biological weapon. They would come to like these main civilizations and give them like garments infected with smallpox, and like it wiped them out. Like they reckon the Amazon potentially was a thriving city. They call the Amazon potentially a man-made garden because there's this layer of earth. It's the South Americans would know it. It's called like black earth or terra preta. Right?
Yeah. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, this is like a layer of fertilizer, man-made fertilizer. It's throughout the Amazon, right? Yeah. And they reckon it could be a planted garden, the Amazon, and it was a thriving city. And now they're with this like LiDAR or radar type technology. They're uncovering all these stone structures and cities in the Amazon. Wow. And they reckon it was a thriving city, and what wiped them out was smallpox.
Wow.
They came there and they were wiped out by disease. So there is actually evidence for the fact, historical evidence, that these South American civilizations, a lot of them potentially ended and they were disastrously impacted by disease from the European colonizers. So it was actually used as a weapon in some cases. You know, they knew what they were doing.
Wow.
So pretty scary.
That is pretty scary. Yeah, I think you'll find that in many cultures, the cities have been buried by mud, dirt, sand, floods from natural disasters, possibly.
What about the Great Flood?
The grape?
The Great Flood, not the Great Flood.
Where
the
was
flood of wine?
Where was the? Where was the?
Well, every culture talks about the Great Flood.
They do the mud floods. Yeah,
like the 13,000 years ago, the Younger Dryas period, whatever it was. You know, Göbekli Tepe was buried. You know, all these. Every culture talks about a Great Flood impacted the world.
Yeah.
You know,
you're right.
Not just from biblical stories, but, you know, from other cultures as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you think about it today, 90% of the population lives on the coast. Yeah.
Yep.
And we know that the sea levels, what they say was that the Canadian ice cap, extended all the way through to like nearly probably the middle of the United States.
Yep.
And then maybe a comet hit. They had like 3-4 kilometer thick median thickness of these ice caps, and so all that water melting rose the sea level enormously in a real short space of time. And if you think that human culture has a tendency to live on the coast, live close to the water, nearly the world, most of the world's population would have been wiped out. But all these cities are still being found, underwater and off the coast because of
under mud. You mean?
Not necessarily under mud, but just underwater as well, because because the water levels were so much lower. Like they even know now that if you look at the Sahara Desert and the Nile and all that, there was like rivers running through the middle of Africa. Right?
Well, through the middle of Australia as well, there was a massive
river. So like there was definitely something happened in the past where the whole landscape just changed. Even if you go back, there's this guy on YouTube called Bright Insight. He did this video on Atlantis. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it.
I haven't seen it, no. Not
yet. Because they reckon Atlantis, this guy's theorizing Atlantis is the, I think it's called the Richat or the Richat, the Eye of the Sahara. It's in Mauritania, just below. So if you've got Spain and then you've got North Africa around this side here, in Mauritania is actually this little place called the Eye of the Sahara, where there's these concentric circles, just as Plato described them. And it matches up nearly perfectly with the idea that that's Atlantis. And what's crazy, Herodotus's map, that Greek historian, right? So he's legit, he's Greek, right?
Of course.
Right? His map, Herodotus' map, actually says Atlantis is there as well. It's crazy. You should check out the video.
I will. So Bright
Insight.
Bright Insight.
Yeah. Dude, he got pretty famous. He went on Joe Rogan as well. For this video. It's pretty interesting. But just going back to this idea of cataclysmic flood, major change in history, like all the evidence is there for it. So I'm not sure how we got here.
No, me either. I was thinking exactly the same.
I feel like we're talking to ivermectin.
Wow.
Boom. We're in Amazon.
But like,
it's kind of like when we get together, this always happens.
We just talk, don't we?
If people get upset that there's no consistency and you want to hear, you've come to the wrong place. We're just going to go wherever we need to go.
So funny, like you're thinking that, I'm thinking that. How we get here? I'm like thinking, do you think a comet's going to wipe us out one day? Like possibly. I've dreamed of that. Have you ever had a dream of like a asteroid coming to hit?
No.
Never. I've dreamed of it, man. Like it's coming straight over my head and then cross the waters and then boom.
Yeah.
And wake up.
No, I haven't had that one. What? So you actually in your dream it hits, and then and you wake up.
Well, you never really see it hit. It's like you wake up.
It's like, when you fall and you wake up. Like you never really see yourself, die in a dream.
Fall. I don't know. Have you ever fallen in a dream?
Oh. You wake.
Fallen.
That's the worst.
Is it?
Really?
Have you had a dream like that, Dale?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
You're just falling, and then before you hit, you wake up.
Yeah.
Like,
do you get that often?
Oh, not really.
Yeah, I never had that dream.
No, I used to have this recurring dream as a child. I had it twice. Second time I woke up and I broke it. There was two. So I'm there in the middle of Spain, I put it, and there's this grandma dropping pot plants from the balcony, trying to hit me, and I'm running, and then I get to this haunted house, and there's a Frankenstein there. So I run around the other side, right, because I see him coming this way. I go running around the other side. He's there. I run back. I can't run that fast. He grabs me, and he squishes me, and I burst, and all this water comes out. And you know what happens next? Wake up in a pool of water.
Oh, you pissed yourself.
Yeah.
I was like, where's it?
So this was like at the age of 5, 6. Okay. The second time that dream happened, same thing happened. Bam, I'm put in that same spot. Grandma dropping pot plants. I run. I'm like, this is familiar. ran back. When he picks me up, I wake up. I didn't wet the bed.
Okay.
I went to the toilet.
Yeah.
And then there was another dream. That was the last time I've ever had that dream. That was probably at age 6. And then another one, go to the toilet. This is a dream. You go to the toilet, you look up, and the Hamburglar was hanging off the light bulb, and he drops a bowling ball on my head, and boom, wet the bed.
Okay.
Second time that happened. Look up, wake up before the Hamburglar drops the bowling ball. End of dream. So never had those 2 dreams before.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, again. Have you ever had recurring dreams?
I have.
Yeah.
And I only get bad dreams. I only get bad dreams or nightmares when I get cold.
Yeah, like the flu.
No, when I actually physically get cold. Yeah. Why? Because my wife likes to sleep in an igloo.
Oh,
right?
I can't stand the igloo. Yeah.
For some reason, she burns when she sleeps.
Wow.
And we have to sleep, -3 in our room, right? And so, like whether it's in winter and summer, we've got the aircon on, right? And we're just it's super cold, and like. I always sleep. I've got like a temperature regulator. I'm not sure if you can relate, but always 1 foot out of the covers like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that just keeps everything regulated.
Absolutely.
And I might toss and turn and all that, and then basically I get to the point where the covers come off and I just get cold, right? So if I get cold, then I have a zombie dream.
Yeah. A zombie dream.
Zombie dream. I'm full, Resident Evil type stuff. Yeah. I'm fighting the zombies. I'm trying to get out. It's just strange. I don't know. I have that
recurring. Like you've had this similar dream over.
If I get cold, I have zombie dreams.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's I always I wake up in the morning, I look at the aircon remote, and she's turned it down, the aircon. We've agreed 22, right? 21.5. That's it.
When they come
if
out.
she drops to 21, she thinks I don't notice, but yeah, I do. Tally, I do notice when you put the aircon down because I get cold and I get nightmares. Okay.
Well, I
love you, baby.
I was meant to send you something yesterday I found on Insta, and it was just about manifesting and how we can do that in our dream state. And it's just about being grateful, really. It's about gratitude. And, they're things that I like to do every day to start the day, the gratefuls. But at night, I tend not to do them so much. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. I usually thank God and thank you for a beautiful day and do my stavro and just be grateful.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
and
nice.
That
Stavro
was
is in
cross.
Greek Orthodox, they cross themselves.
So I learned that from my Uncle Nick probably at the age of 14, 15.
Yeah.
And I had a car accident at that age, but I never shared that with my parents. I never told anyone that I had a car accident. And from that accident, I was like very spiritual, religious, whatever you want to call it. I was very in tune to God and grateful and thankful of God, because as we had the accident, I was saying, thank God, please God, please God. So
it's funny how we do that, eh?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and everything just froze. Time was frozen, and it was it was really.
It's like a near-death experience.
It was a near-death experience. Yeah, very much so was. So didn't have a seatbelt on. We rolled, and come out alive.
What were you thinking when you were rolling in the like?
Please God. Yeah, just not to die.
And when you say time slowed, was that in the moment? Like,
yeah.
Everything just...
Yeah,
wow. Like
smacked my head up on the roof because we rolled just one time.
Yeah.
And I remember we landed on the wheels. And my biggest concern was my friend who got thrown out.
Thrown out of the car?
Thrown out of the ute.
Oh.
Ute, yeah.
He was in the back of the ute?
Yeah,
well, you expect that.
Yeah, I know.
Probably not the best thing to do.
So from that, it was like, okay, I'm grateful to be alive, okay, for one, and I didn't want to take life for granted.
Okay, real
From
quick, I
that.
got to bring you back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You get out, you land on the wheels.
Yeah.
You open the door, you get out.
Get the yeah.
So what are you thinking in that moment, like right then?
What was I thinking? Just happened, like literally.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to like edit this.
just put some like some drum rolls or something. But yeah, that's what it was. Like very young. We were very young.
And you were shaking. Yeah.
Big time.
Full
big
adrenaline.
time. Full adrenaline going.
Yeah.
On the drive home, because we did drive home, I couldn't see out of my left eye properly, and I was saying to the guys like, "Can you see properly?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, I can't." Yeah.
What was that?
Head
Concussion.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I went to. I went home. I rode home on my push bike after we got back, and I said to my mum, "Oh, I've got a sore back. I stacked the bike. I did a jump and I landed in the gutter." And I showed him my spine, and there was this massive black mark on my spine, obviously bruised. So anyways, I went to the, hospital, ER, emergency room. They did a quick check, and they're like, "Yeah, look, you had a minor concussion, but everything's okay." And I still didn't tell them what had happened. I just told them I stacked my bike. Mm-hmm. But I had a clicking in my neck for about a year. And spiritually, I wanted to really share everything.
Okay, sorry, got to bring it back again.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to go step by step, because I have a person that's going to watch this who's really into near-death experiences.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really affected him in terms of the spiritual encounters people have when they do have a near-death experience.
Yeah.
So when you got out of the car, you've gone, wow, I'm alive, basically, right?
Yeah.
Come out. When was the moment where you were like, you became grateful, and that you were like, you felt like, obviously you're going, God, please help me. And you come out, you're alive, and you feel grateful because you feel like God's answered your prayer, you made it out. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, but you're pretty much.
So when was that realization? Like,
I would say that night, laying in bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you done the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's go back to hospital. Then we'll go back to.
Yep. So we're walking out to the car. Dad took me there, and I said, "Dad, just stay here. Stay there." And I went back, and I just said, "Look, I've just been in an accident. I haven't told my parents. Am I okay?" They're like, "Yep, no, you'll be fine. Just rest.
Yeah.
But for a year I had a clicking in my neck, and I was very, very cautious, to the point where I was like just moving around like this, and I had heat packs on my neck just about every night. Probably should have used ice now that I think about it, but I used heat. And again, unknowingly, and I didn't share this with anyone. I didn't share this.
You didn't tell your parents because
I would have been in big trouble.
Yeah.
I told them when I was.
You would have been in another car accident.
Oh yeah, I told them when I was about 20.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 20.
So you got the heat packs.
Yeah, and all that stuff. So, but as in my mindset, I was so grateful just to be alive.
So in that moment that you lay down in bed that night, and that's when it hit you, that moment?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I can't really, like, you know how some things really stick?
Yeah.
Like, there's not a moment that really sticks with that, apart from probably, do you know what, now that you mention it, it was probably on the bus ride.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably on a bus ride back to Townsville.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were you thinking?
Well,
I know we're delving
sharing
in,
this.
Yeah.
I was sharing this with a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while. So he was the first person I told, like me personally, and we were laughing and carrying on. But yeah, it was quite serious. It was quite serious at the time, and I never really took it that seriously. I need to go to the toilet, hey.
You do?
Yeah, I'm busting.
We've done toilet breaks before.
Can we just do a quick toilet break?
Yeah, it's like, it'll happen now, like, doo-doo-doo, the music.
Can I clap?
Yeah, that means we're back.
You know what? I'm a musician. I know that. Okay, that was good. Thank you.
It was. I was just when you were talking about that appreciation and God and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, Dale's been actually wanting to ask a question as you stepped out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Since he wanted to ask a question. Go for it, Dale.
I was just intrigued at the start when you talked about like the spiritual aspect and like the energy.
Yeah.
Like where's the energy come from? What do you believe in?
Of which aspect of this? When you say energy and in that story that I was just saying,
like the music energy. Like
the music energy.
From, like,
wow, way back then.
Yeah.
Okay, should have just jumped in, Dale. Jump in next time.
We're trying to build up his confidence there. I told him so many times, just interrupt, just ask the question. You know,
rude.
Yeah, not being rude.
I'm glad you did, because I was thinking of like that as well. I believe it comes from environment, so your surroundings. Definitely your environment and whatever was happening back then in that time in that place, that was creating that level of energy, that thought process as well with those people. And it's kind of like the quantum physics, you know, when you put I think it's a ray of light or something, and you see it goes this way. It goes through the two holes, right? But then
the way we observe it changes the matter. Yeah, so our thoughts have an effect on reality. Yeah, it's interesting.
So now when you think about, you got millions of people in this one place, and they're all observing. It changes everything, and I just think that when you're talking about energy, I believe it comes from the universe as a whole. Like, we don't have planets out there for no reason. The sun, all of these things are giving us energy. Like the sun is giving us life here on Earth, plant life, us. But just to get down to it with the music side of it, I think it's environment. Yeah, what they saw at the time and what they grew up with, it was just coming out of, not just coming out of, but it was post-World War II. And what their parents saw and what those memories are embedded into their cells is now being passed on to their children. And I think on a cellular level as well, you have these memory imprints in us all. Like your life has been a product of your ancestors, but as well as the environment that you are currently in.
Sure.
If you grew up on, anywhere else, we could give anything as an example. But yeah, I think it comes down to.
Do you think the energy will keep going forever, or do you think it's
energy?
Yeah, do you think that energy, like when you're talking about the sun, do you think, because obviously the sun will die. Do you think the energy in the universe will, it was made, or do you reckon it will just always be?
Oh, that's a very tough question, and I have no answer, because when you think about it yourself, I can recall.
Let me interject here. I'm going to translate from Dalenese, right?
Yeah, Dalenese.
Okay, so I feel like what Dale's actually asking you, when you talk about energy, two-part question.
Yep.
Do you believe that energy is from God? When you speak of energy, are you talking energy of the universe sometimes is synonymous with talking about, say, God, right?
Yep.
So do you believe that energy that you're talking about comes from a creator like God?
Okay. So can we
That's
come
what
back?
I think. Is that what you're asking, Dale?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
No, because I feel
great.
like you're going there,
Yeah, and we'll get there.
Huh?
Yeah.
I was going to loop it there.
We'll get there. And I'll finish off that story that I was doing before I had the toilet break.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like this is Pulp Fiction.
you're going to have to edit this massively.
No, we're just going to let it go. We're on a roller coaster. We're going from story from 5 minutes ago, then new question, back to the beginning, back now. It's all going to make sense in the end.
Yeah, that's right. It will make sense.
And
hopefully.
you know what? That was the promo clip.
Yeah.
Right there.
Nice.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dale. So from having that trip to Townsville, that's where I was like feeling that gratitude, because I was living with my cousins at the time during this whole time that happened. Okay, so I was living with other family in a different town, in a different city. So, and why I was bringing this up, it's a tongue twister, was about gratitude.
Yeah.
Okay, gratitude, and I was going to ask you a question as well, like, you know, how do you start your day? What are you grateful for etc. But just to finish off that story of the accident and what had happened, I think I healed properly after a year. But then there's been ongoing trauma that I probably haven't fully dealt with. And that, I think that gets stored in your body.
100%.
Gets stored in your body.
100%.
So there's still work that needs to be done there on that level. But I remember I was that in tune to a higher power, God, Jesus, whatever you want to call your higher power, that I was wanting to be so perfect. I didn't want to swear. I didn't want to upset anybody. I wanted to follow all these rules that were set out, you know, for me, that I thought were set out for me.
And were you naturally rebellious before this, or?
For a few years I was, because we moved from one city to another, and I really rebelled against that because we were lied to, I guess. We said it was a 6-month move. However, it was a permanent move.
So going from that mindset to rule keeping was a massive change.
Whoa, yeah. Didn't last long. Lasted like 2 days. I was like, fuck this. That's just how I speak. That's just how I speak. I swear when I speak. So I then accepted that.
Yeah.
But for many months, for about 6 months, I was always sharing everything with my parents, except for the fact that I had that accident. Mm-hmm. So, and I developed a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear in just anything that was risky, anything that I thought that could be harmful to me, anything that I thought that, I could die doing this, or I could break my arm doing this, or
looking into the abyss and looking into the eyes of death can do that.
Yeah,
for sure. And you know what's funny? A lot of that fear, where do you feel it?
It's usually in the head, to be honest.
I agree, definitely in the head.
But then you feel it. Oh,
you feel it in your gut.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you do. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
And you know how you
do feel
before,
it in your gut. It's
you do.
Gut feeling. Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't do this.
Yeah. And then you think about it. What we said before about storing trauma in your body.
Yeah. A lot of it's in the gut.
And you've had gut issues too.
Yeah.
I'm only going what you said.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I totally agree with you. I feel like the stress hormone cortisol.
Yeah.
Basically weakens your immune system.
Absolutely.
Makes you more susceptible to disease. And ailments. And so like the idea of being in a stressful state, in a traumatic state, makes you sick.
Makes you sick. Yeah, it does. I believe in that as well. So one of my morning routine, and has been for many years, probably since I discovered Wim Hof, and I think we've all heard of Wim Hof.
Yeah, that's cool.
Shout out to Wim, he's the man. And now it's not that it's his. You got the book there, awesome. The Wim Hof method, yeah. And you know what? Wim doesn't. It's not like he didn't create this. It's breathing. It's breathing. He's just taking us back, and that's what I love about him. He's so humble, and he just wants to share these techniques.
It's helped a lot of people.
It's helped me, man.
Physical illness.
When I get a sense of illness, I'm straight up doing that Wim Hof. Doesn't matter if it's 3:00 in the afternoon or 7:00 at night. But my morning routine is that every morning I get up straight away and I do my Wim Hof breath work, 3 rounds of breathing.
I did a lot of that.
I love it. So I got this neck thing at the moment. Who knows? I got no idea what this is. It's just this pain in the neck. And when I do that breath work, I feel relief. It's not like it's taking it away.
Okay.
There's a lot of other things.
For people that don't know Wim Hof, so Wim Hof is a breathing exercise whereby you do 30 inhales.
Well, it's a man. Wim Hof is the guy's name.
Yeah.
They've dubbed it the Wim Hof method.
Yeah. So you breathe in 30, inhale 30 times, and you're supposed to inhale as deeply as you can, but only release. So you super breathe in and you just release, and then on the 30th exhalation, you hold your breath for as long as you can, and then that's when the body starts.
You exhale though.
So on the 30th exhalation, in release,
and then just relax.
You hold your breath for as long as you can. Then you take another breath, hold it 15 seconds, do it 3-4 reps, and it's a quite. It kind of resets your adrenal system and your body, makes you really, really calm. It's definitely a proven method to lift your immune system even and combat illness. Yep. So it is quite good.
Yeah, and there's lots of other breathwork techniques like prana and other breathwork that can release DMT within your body. That's really, really fast.
And that's why people have like these spiritual experiences with them, even when they do the Wim Hof method. It's
man, the best ones that I've had is the ringing of the ears. So this is where I've held my breath up to 4 minutes, and when you do that up to 4, your ears, my ears, they physically buzz. Where I don't know if you've done that.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah,
4 minutes.
I can touch it, and it's like it's vibrating. They're It's a phenomenal experience. I've probably done that 2 to 3 times, and I don't normally go there. 2 minutes is plenty.
I think the most I've done is about 3 minutes something, and I used to when I went through anxiety and went through I was in a real bad way probably between 2018 and 2020. That Wim Hof method really helped me to find balance. Like I wasn't in a good way. I didn't sleep for 18 months basically. I had major anxiety, major issues. And whenever I would feel like a panic attack was coming on or something like that, I would do the Wim Hof method and it would help me.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
and so I actually haven't done it in a really, really long time. But I will say this, that Wim Hof method helped me find balance. And kind of like in some ways sort of put me in a state of mind where I could be calm and I could keep reading, I could keep researching, keep understanding more about what was going on. And then basically for me personally, the moment I encountered God, like truly encountered him, everything went away. Yep. So it was very much for me.
Was that Dale?
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously, like for me, like all these little things that I did trying to cope with trauma, with pain, mental illness, all these things, I suffered from it really bad. These things really help. That's why when people mention it, I actually, because you'll find that even some religious people like, no, you shouldn't do that, meditation, all that stuff, like it's wrong,
No, I think
there's few people like that. But for me, when I look at this stuff really helped me, and it helped me find balance. There's nothing spiritual about it really. It's just breathing. Right. Some people have these spiritual experiences that get in that state of clarity and peace. They get a taste of it. That real peace is a spiritual experience, right? Yeah. But personally, for me, when I did encounter God, I felt a peace where everything went. It was the most amazing experience. And so, you asked me what my morning routine is. It used to be Wim Hof. Yeah. Yeah. Cold showers.
Yeah, cold showers. Yeah.
Every now and again, I probably will have a cold shower. Actually, especially in Townsville in summer.
We always start with a warm and then always finish with a cold.
But I'll tell you now, it's almost right now. The feeling that you got when you stepped out of the car?
Yeah.
I'm alive. And that gratitude of just having a second chance. For me personally, it was like I was slowly dying. And I was in such a bad way. And when I did encounter God and I saw the light, it was like I was about to die, and he gave me a new lease on life. He's like, I'm going to give you a second chance. And it was like, I will never take this for granted. It's like, what would you do if you knew you were going to die tonight? And you got your family, you got things you want to do, you got people you want to speak to, and you're running out of time. And right before midnight, you know, God steps in and goes, boom, I'm gonna give you a new lease on life. That gratitude I live with every day.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right now, I wake up in the morning, and there's times I have weak times.
We all do.
Yeah. I'm still human, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But I would say the vast majority of the time, I wake up and I look and I'm like, man, I just want to love on other people. I want to help other people. I feel like the fact that I've been given a second chance means that I'm here for a reason. I'm here to make a difference in a way where people that are hurting, people that are going through trauma, having a difficult time, I just want to love on those people and let them know that there is a way out. And so that's how I wake up most mornings, wanting to go to work, but not to make money, but I look at this as an opportunity. I know the things that we're speaking about, it might only be 300 people that watch this, okay? Right? There could be 10,000 that see the clip on Instagram, right? But I know the discussions that I have here with people, someone gets affected. Because they message me, they tell me, this has affected me. And even the stories that you've shared, it's going to affect other people. So it's like, just for that one person, if it's just for that one dude, you know what I mean, that we can make an impact and we can help, that's something worth dying for. That's what I want to do. And that's why, like, for instance, when I look at even the stories in the Bible about, like, Christ says about, taking up your cross, follow him, which that idea of sacrifice, like forgetting about yourself. Like, are you willing to set yourself aside and love and die for other people? Yeah. And that is the way I live my life now, where it's changed the way I look at the world. It's changed the way I deal with people. Changed the way I look at myself. So, in terms of that, it's something that does wake up in the morning. I look forward to it. I look forward to the next thing. I also look forward to this podcast. So
me too, man. All week.
Because your views and your, like, even the way you are with your school and the kids, right? Like, can I ask you, what does it feel like knowing your passion for music and the transcendent nature of it and how it's shaped your whole life, where now you can teach kids, right? You're not only teaching kids, but adults. Like, what percentage of kids versus adults?
Oh, it's 80-20.
Okay, so it's the majority
80 kids, 20% adults.
Okay, so what's it like to teach these kids music?
Yeah. So for me, the joy is seeing them achieve something that they really wanted to do. So whether it's a guitarist or a drummer, to see them come in and tell me their stories, especially adults. I'll start with adults. They'll say, I've always wanted to learn the drums, but I never had the opportunity, or I took lessons back in school, didn't really like it. My lessons were boring and I gave up. Now they're in their 30s, 40s. My oldest student was 87, I think she was, Nan. And, for some people, it's bucket list stuff. Bucket list. And for me to have that opportunity to say, I can show you the way in a way, do you know?
There's something peaceful about teaching, right?
So I love it. I really do. Yeah. And I never thought that I would become a teacher. Never did it enter my mind that I was going to be a teacher. It was an opportunity that I got given, and I took this opportunity to volunteer at a church to drum at their Saturday Night Live show.
No
for
way,
the kids.
really?
Yeah. So it's just from a friend at uni, and he said, I think you should teach. You should come and volunteer, and they're looking for a teacher next year. I was like, yeah, okay, why not? I was studying music. And all I wanted to do was just do music every day. I just wanted to play music. In my mind back then, when I was 18, I thought I wanted to tour the world. And I did want to tour the world, not thought. I did want to tour the world. I wanted to make a living out of drumming in the world's biggest band. And I think a lot of teenagers do. From that, I got dropped into teaching. And, I took the job without any experience. I remember he asked me, and I said yes. And in that moment, I knew that I couldn't teach. So I went home, same thing, stayed up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just found resources, and I watched people teach. And I watched and watched and watched for the next 2 weeks before my first lesson was. First lesson comes, here I am, got all my books, I'm well overly prepared, and it was kind of like expecting a tiger and you get a pussycat, and he was an adult student, my first student.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name, but it was a really good lesson. And I think back, I was just talking to some students about how I used to teach back when I first started 17 years ago. I had one drum kit. We were above Artie's Music, and it was very thin fibro walls. Okay, and you could hear everyone. You could hear people talk. So it wasn't ideal. It definitely wasn't ideal. Had one drum kit, and we would just go back and forth. I play this, you play that. I can't believe I even taught like that. If I saw anyone teaching like that now, I'd be thinking, why? Why are you doing this? How can you teach someone like this? Now, we have 2 kits set up side by side. I have my laptop with all resources, songs, backing tracks, and a TV screen up in front of us. I've got all these resources on hand that we can use, practice pads, drum pads. We're well equipped in comparison. And we've got a school, whereas I used to teach from home for about 12 of those years out of the 17. So I started at a school, Resound Industries. That guy moved to Sydney, and he saw that I was very passionate. I was rocking up to work maybe 3 hours before I was due to teach 2 or 3 students. But I loved drumming. I loved music. So drums was my first instrument. From there, he said, look, I'm moving to Brisbane or Sydney, and I want to give you the business. I said, do you want any money for it? He says, no, just take it. There was about 80 students there at the school.
Yeah, wow.
His name was David Luke. So, David, thank you so much. And from that, I kept it going, and had a divorce. So I stopped the school, and I just worked from home. So 2013 was living my best life, I would say. 2012, I turned 30 and had the most beautiful experience out at Palmer River. The solar eclipse was on my birthday. 7-day music festival. Okay. Doof. The likes of, who sings Wandering Eye? Fat Freddy's Drop, who was a band that I just discovered was out there, among many other artists who just cannot think of the names. But it was a beautiful, loving, enlightening, spiritual experience. From there, that's when I joined King Social. But at that time, I was in 5 bands. Hence probably why the reason I got divorced, I was always in these bands. I was spreading myself very thin. Yeah, okay. Sharing myself thin.
Sometimes that can happen when you're so passionate about something.
Yeah, I just, like all these opportunities were coming my way and I couldn't say no. I wanted to experience music with everybody. So even still back then in the early days of teaching, I can't say that teaching was my passion back then. It wasn't. Playing music was definitely my passion back then. Now, today, teaching is definitely my passion. I want to educate, and I find that so difficult to not do, because we get people calling and they want help, they want to learn, and I will dive into my own schedule, my own free time, and I'll say, yeah, I can fit you in here.
You know what?
And then before you know it, all my time's gone. I'm giving it to everyone else.
Yeah, it's a real teach, because it's humbling, because you set yourself aside because you want to help someone.
I just want to help.
That's that idea of humility. And what I really like is you remind me of the best teacher. I'm learning ancient Greek at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the teacher I've got there, Jeff, he won't watch this, but he's the best teacher I've ever had, right? But he reminds me of you the way you teach, which is no one can make a mistake. I feel like when you teach, like I understand you make a mistake, but the fact is you're
part of the journey.
You're so supportive, right? It's like, keep having a go. You're so encouraging, and that's what reminds me of my Greek teacher. He says, translate this. And we translate. It's like, it's totally wrong. It's like, great effort. You know what I mean? Like he finds the positive sides, It's like, you tried this, you got that right, Like you'll focus on the 5% we got right.
Yeah.
And he'll build us up. And it's very exaltative in a way. And when you teach, you like building people up. You like, you're encouraging. Nice effort. Maybe just try here. And so, it's a real gift. I think it's a gift. I really think it's a gift. You spoke about spiritual energy, about, things happening. I actually see that as a gift that's been placed upon you.
Possibly.
No, I'm telling you, assertively, it is, because not many people have that. You've got a real gift to teach, and I understand why you have you have the best music school in town.
Thank you so much.
And you got teaching a lot of kids. There's a reason for that, because you're passionate about it, you love it. You've created a good system over there, and you're imparting. And you're building. You're teaching your own little team about the way to teach. So not only teaching students, you're teaching other people.
We're teaching people how to teach at the moment as well. And there's always things to learn, because you have different personalities, and you've got to, I think in a way, adapt, because there's not, for me, my philosophy in life is life's better when you play. And I've put that philosophy on our music school. Life's better when you play. So when we're playful and we learn through play, we don't learn through being bullied or told that you're doing something wrong, and you're made to feel that you're incompetent. Okay, I went through a trade. First 18 months of my trade was like that, and I was always making cabinet making. So I see all these, and I see this is all pine. This is done with teak wood stain, and you've done this with a rag, and you've put it on. Correct? No, well, someone did. And they're weatherboards. You've done that with a rag. I dissect all of this stuff. Even when I walk into your house and I see your kitchen, I look and see what it's made out of.
It's just those something, drawers, dude. I hate those magnetic drawers. Tali and I do. So listen,
okay, they're magnetic.
Now that we know you're a cabinet maker,
I don't have any tools anymore, my friend.
We'll find them.
No, they're long gone.
Oh man, those magnetic drawers things, terrible.
But
Tali's going to ask you questions now.
Probably. But on that,
never knew that. That's cool.
Yeah. So I'd done my trade, but in that first 18 months, every day I was bullied.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day, and I went to a different place, and his name was David Falco. Great man, great boss. He taught me patience. Yeah, he taught me patience. He taught me to slow down, and he taught me that it's okay to make mistakes. Learn from them. You made a mistake, fine. Let's not do that again. So during those years of the ages of 17 to 21, I was there with him doing my trade, and I became a tradesman there, and got very ill due to the lead paint that was in the weatherboards that we were sanding. Yeah, we didn't have any PPE or stuff like that. But from there, that's when I relocated to Townsville, and I just wanted to do music. And I remember my old boss, he would always say, Chromey, he used to call me Chrome Dome. Who knows why? Chrome Dome. You're good for something. One day we'll find out what. And I know that he sees the journey. I know that he's seen what I'm doing with music, and I had an opportunity to to see him and visit him because one of my relatives is, I think, one of his carers now.
Mm-hmm.
He's his carer, and he's pretty ill. But I didn't take that opportunity to go and visit. I mean, I don't think he's in a nursing home or anything like that. But there's a lot of anger towards that man, but then a little bit of like, you know what, you fueled the fire in many ways as well to push me towards what I really wanted in life. It wasn't cabinet making.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was music. And every day I'll be tapping away. And,
what would you say to him if you saw him today?
Oh, I don't know. No, there's many things I would say. Yeah, I would ask why were you such a, not aggressive, but just abusive in a comical way for him.
Mm-hmm.
Abusive in and I think it was just that era. And they used to tell me stories. If you were late for work at Suppos, the boss would wait out there with a plank of timber and smack you over the knuckles or smack you in the butt. That was the mentality back then. They could do that.
Mm.
And it's just the tradies. I've worked with trades for many years, and you give each other cheek in that way.
Standard. It's in the culture.
As a 15-year-old, though, I didn't understand that. As a 15-year-old dealing with 35-year-old men, 40-year-old men, I wasn't ready for that. I'd just come from high school, grade 10. Just left grade 10, did a 6-month pre-vocational course at TAFE, where most of the time I wasn't really doing much. I was drinking during lunch breaks with the older people and smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, and rocking up to class drunk and high in those pre-vocational courses.
Yeah, wow.
So that was the influence. Not every day, but there were some days, no joke,
yeah.
we're in there stoned. Laying bricks, bro.
Yeah.
Just a little brick wall like this.
Hard to learn in that state.
Well, I didn't really think of it too much as learning. It was like school, just working with my hands, and I loved being creative.
Yeah.
But on that, where you said, what would I say to him? Yeah, I don't really know. And forgiveness is something that I have to forgive him for what he did, and I do in a way. There's some level of forgiveness there, definitely, because he didn't know any better, because that was what his upbringing was like. So, and that's what the other tradesmen said. This is how I was taught. This is how I was treated. So I'm going to treat you the same. Now, I made sure that I wasn't going to be that same person when I was doing the trade and when I had other people under me, and I did. For a day.
But see,
don't
you think you could thank him?
I could thank him.
The reason I say that is that
I can thank him.
How much can we learn from what not to do?
I learned from not exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's where the great gratitude is.
One of the reasons you
forgiveness.
Love.
That's where the forgiveness is.
This is one of the reasons
you taught me not what to do.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why you are such a good teacher is because of what he did to you.
In many ways.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so what I like about
absolutely.
In the ancient Greek, when I was looking at there's multiple layers of meaning in one particular word in Greek, just the way the language works. And forgiveness in the Greek actually means to let go.
Yeah, that's what forgiveness is, to let go. It's like they say in other philosophers, if you're holding on to anger towards someone, it's like holding a hot stone and expecting the other person to get burnt. Something along those lines.
It is, man.
And it is. You've got to let it go for you to heal.
Yeah, and we had this. I'm not sure if you saw.
It took me many years, and
it's hard. Man. That's a hard
concept. There's probably
concept.
Still a little bit of fragment in there that I go, could have done that differently, or I just want to punch you, And I did back then, but I never would.
Look, it just that you kind of just start to realize that there's unfortunately adversity is a good teacher.
Adversity is a good teacher.
And
right.
I'm not sure if you saw a podcast with Louis, the army guy.
I did. I love that one.
And he said, lean into suffering.
Yeah.
Like, lean into it, hug it. Yeah. Just because because it's like, it's where you can encounter God. You can also encounter understanding. You can learn so much about yourself, and it's an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can shy away from it and you can let it destroy you, because that's the alternative, right? Like real suffering, real pain, real bullying, all those things. You've got two choices. You can be a victim, and a legitimate one too, and let it enslave you and destroy you.
Yeah.
Or you hug it, you love on it,
Yeah.
and you go, whatever comes my way, I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to understand more, and see it as an opportunity. It's not easy to do that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I fall victim to that myself, of the idea of, not leaning into the suffering. But I like the way he put that.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah,
and it affected me. And so shout out Louis.
Shout out Louis. It was a great podcast. I loved it.
But so yeah, I mean, what would be your message to someone that has aspirations themselves, right? Because I would consider you successful for where you've started, what you've gone through, and how you've, even monetized your passion. Because a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't monetize their passions, right? Because I don't think you've ever been obsessed with money, right?
No.
But through your passion, you've realized the way the world works and all these things. You'll be able to, profit from this in a good way and teach other people, give them a platform themselves to grow. So what would you be a message of people that are trying to, not only assess what they are passionate about in life, but actually try and make it a part of their vocation?
Yeah.
Like what would your advice be to them?
Advice.
I mean, if we're going to close out on this podcast, what would it be, your advice to people that are really searching?
You got to listen to your own gut, listen to your own desires that you've been given, whether that's gardening, cooking, painting, music, whatever it may be in life. Listen to your calling, find what it is that you love, and do everything you can to get there. And what I thought was, everything I'm doing, whether it was, I've had over 20 jobs, cabinet making, groundskeeper, concreter, I've been a sawyer. Everything I did was a stepping stone, getting me closer to where I needed, to my destination. And I don't even feel like I'm at my destination yet. I'm where I am right now. This is a really cool place. I love it. I'm in a really cool place. But I've got more desire to do other things, and I know I'll get there myself eventually. I know I'll get there. So it's the belief in self. I would say that you need to instill. At 18, I remember having this argument with my mum about the trade, and I was flat out crying and yelling, and we were yelling back and forth. And I said, if I don't do music, I will feel like my life is a waste. Okay, so I knew, I had this strong feeling that it had to be music. I had to do something with music. And sharing music now with others is, I think, the greatest gift. There's creation. I love creating music and then sharing that creativity, because once you've created it and then you share it in the ether, it's for others to decide how they cope with it. Okay, so you can put out something that to you is so beautiful and has so much meaning to you. Someone else might hate it. They can't stand it. Can't stand listening to it. But for those who have dreams of their own, we live in the right times where you can create it. You can actually do it. And don't let age be the limit. This is what I hear all the time with my students, because a lot of my students aren't going to be musicians. They want to be engineers. I've even had one kid come through and said he wants to be an astronaut. He can be that. He can absolutely be that. And I will instill that belief in them. it's not for what we do at the school. Me personally, not on that level trying to create professional musicians, because a lot of the younger kids are there from their parents' desire. Okay, they wanted to play music, or they're giving their student their child that opportunity, and we know it helps brain function. We know it helps them fine and gross motor skills. It can help them with mental health. Mental health, music. Wow, it saved me so many times. So many times.
It's just amazing to see that. You mentioned something before, and striving through, not giving up, having belief, right? That you can get there, the passion for the music, and what you're saying now, in regards to that, the music itself is a stepping stone to something greater. You know, that you're actually using as a facilitator.
I guess it is a facilitator, for connection.
Human connection, understanding, health,
well-being.
Exactly, you know, and you want to teach people at a level that is, you're here to learn music, but you're also here to understand more about yourself. And so look, you know, I think what you're doing there at the school is needed, especially in today's society, right, where they're getting smashed left, right, and center with, you know, negativity and identity politics, and people getting confused about what they are and who they are.
And not good enough.
And so what you're doing is really, really important, you know. And I think you are blessed in a lot of ways. You know, you have a great outlook on life, and it's amazing just to hear you say that even you yourself are continuing to learn, continuing to understand, and that's how you started. That's how you got to this point where you're opening yourself up to continuously learning. And so, I think that's a really, really important message. Never get too comfortable.
Never get too comfortable.
Keep learning. Yeah, and keep loving other people.
Give love and be loved.
That's a good sign off there. So I just wanted to say, God bless you, bro, because you are making an impact on people in a real positive way. And I'm glad, you know, that I know you and I have you as a friend, man.
Me too. Grateful for you.
Before we do sign off on that, I want to take away from Dale's voice. So, Dale, you got any questions that you'd like to ask that you didn't get a chance to?
No, that's it. That's it. I'm good. That was beautiful.
we didn't finish the energy thing, but we'll next
time
we can chat. Yeah,
might have a part two. Yeah, I feel like you and I could go for hours,
bro. Yeah, I remember when I said, "Oh man, I can't talk for more than an hour."
But how long have we been going for?
Almost 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. That's the biggest one.
That's good. Awesome.
So anyway, awesome. Done.
Thank you, Matthew.
Bro, that was sick. How easy.